Hi, everyone. Welcome to our latest ProcureAbility strategic sourcing story. I'm here today with Alisa Salesevic, who led one of the most complex and consequential transformations we've tracked in the last few years. She helped a client utility completely rethink and scale their PMO program. So, Alisa, first off, congratulations to you and the team on a successful project. This project wasn't just about renewing contracts and generating savings. It was about modernizing how the entire enterprise plans, executes, and governs its program. So why don't you start by sharing what challenges they were facing, the challenges that prompted them to reach out for us for help in the first place?
Absolutely. Thank you, Conrad. I'm very excited to share this story with you. So, this investor owned utility provides electricity and natural gas to millions of customers across the state of California. When they had initially reached out to us, their PMO program was experiencing some growing pains. It was originally designed to support only 7 departments, but that quickly expanded to 26 with over $100 million in annual spend, which strained their governance and contracting and cost controls. Their contracts were about to expire. The operating model could not support that scale, and it was resulting in inconsistent delivery, unclear ownership, and higher than necessary costs. They needed more than just a renewal. They needed a smarter and a more cost effective way to really run the program.
So the program was growing larger and more complex, but the infrastructure just hadn't evolved, kind of a classic case of growth, right? So how did you and the team address such a broad scope that spanned across the entire enterprise?
Well, the first thing that we really focused on was helping them move away from this decentralized one size fits all model, where different departments were managing their own PMOs at the time. We redesigned the operating model around a centralized one PMO per project structure instead. And that shift alone increased accountability and it created enterprise wide visibility for the first time ever. From there, we addressed the actual sourcing strategy. So we intentionally expanded their supplier base from just a handful of incumbents to a competitive field of more than 2 dozen qualified providers. This completely reset the market. It increased the competition and it really ensured that the client was receiving best in class value. In fact, half of the new contracts were awarded to new suppliers.
It's a powerful example of intentional change, rethinking not just who does the work, which suppliers do the work, but also how the work is managed, where it gets done, the whole picture, right?
Absolutely. And, we didn't just stop there. What really ended up making a really big difference was how we looked beyond just traditional boundaries. We sourced talent, not just locally, but also out of the state and internationally. That unlocked new cost efficiencies for them. And in some cases, it had uncovered billing discrepancies where remote resources were already being billed at premium local rates at that current state. So, correcting that alone, it really drove immediate and really meaningful savings.
So what kind of results did you see once the new structure and that sourcing strategy were put into place?
Yeah, the impact was significant and multidimensional. Through a disciplined multi-lever sourcing strategy and targeted supplier negotiations, the client is projected to realize $35 million of savings over the 4-year contract term. And those savings came from multiple levers, including smarter sourcing, redefined rebate structures, improved payment terms, and leveraging talent from more than just one cost effective location. So, equally important as those financial results were, was also the operational transformation that we had. We also designed a formal PMO governance framework for every project, and they now have clear milestones, defined deliverables, and built in accountability. And by consolidating a single PMO supplier, the client really gained consistency, predictability, and stronger cost control. And finally, we introduced also a KPI framework that really gives their executives earlier visibility into risks and allows issues to be addressed before they escalate.
That's a remarkable transformation, right? Truly holistic, not just financially, but also, operationally holistic. So as you reflect back on that project, what stood out the most to you from your experience working on this program?
For me, the most memorable aspect of this experience was really, truly just the trust that we earned with this client. Given the scale and the complexity of all the challenges, and especially because their cost efficiency and scalability were top priorities for their business. They leaned on us not to just reduce their costs, but to really help them redesign a model that could support their future. We challenged assumptions, we brought in innovative ideas, and we really co-created a solution that truly fits their business. And that's what made the project really meaningful. For this client, it wasn't just about renegotiating contracts. It was really about creating a more agile, efficient, and future ready program.
I love that. It's a perfect example of how sometimes the biggest gains come from rethinking what's possible. The team transformed an outdated operational model into one that delivers visibility, accountability, and true long-term value. The savings alone are tremendous. I think about this by challenging assumptions and number one, expanding supplier options. Number two, sourcing the talent more creatively. And number three, applying data-driven insights. Those that approach really allowed the team to unlock those remarkable savings and then create that more robust and scalable model, that working operating model for the future for the client. Alisa, thank you to you and the team for leading such impactful work. This project is a notable example of how our teams use data, creativity, and collaboration to drive that real change. And thank you for doing your part to make the work we do for our clients so meaningful.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the story.